Hey, how you doing? Today, I thought we'd talk about gambling and the fact that I could have saved a fair amount of money if I didn't mess around with that. So, from the time I was in the Navy, at sea, when we were off shift, normally we'd be playing poker. It was easier to keep track if you just kept these books, and then at the end, when payday was, everybody just settled up, evened up the books, and start all over again. Well, that's a dangerous way to do it, too. Now, luckily, I wasn't that bad at poker, and through the years got even better. But there were times when guys, when we were at sea, were spending like half of their paycheck to settle up the books for playing poker. Not good. One form of gambling. I had a buddy named Jimmy who was from New York. And every port that we pulled into, he immediately wanted to go gambling. And I don't care what it was. There were times when we were pulling into port and he'd be saying, hey, I know there's dog racing in this city. Let's go to the racetracks and bet on the dogs. Now, I'm thinking to myself, no, let's go to the bars and find some chicks or something. Let's not go watch a bunch of dogs running around in a circle. But that was Jimmy. He was pretty hardcore with betting. So then, I remember one cruise, we went to Nassau, and there was a big casino there in Nassau. So we went out on the beaches and carried on all day long and shit. But then, as soon as evening hit, right to the casino. Now, the lure of casinos is big. I mean, they're nice, they're decked out. I mean, even after I was out in the Navy, I went to Trump's place down in Atlantic City at the Taj Mahal. Nice, very nice. I gotta hand it to whoever decorated that place. The casinos are basically rigged against everybody anyway. They're not in business by accident. I mean, the odds are you're going to lose money. You're not going to make money. All right, fine. I can deal with that. There's a chance of winning, and that's what the big allure is to everybody, that small chance of winning, but you're going to lose money. So what I used to do was I would say, okay, I'm going to go out for the weekend, go over to Atlantic City, stay there at one of the casinos, and okay, I'm going to limit myself to $500 for gambling. And this is what I stick by, because if you lose that $500, you quit. You can walk up and down the boardwalks and enjoy the beach or whatever for the duration of your stay, that you're on vacation, but you have to limit yourself. You've got to be sensible about this. I remember times with betting on football. So you say to yourself, oh, okay, there's a football game. Now, I was big on this back in the mid 80s when the Chicago Bears were really big and about to win the Super Bowl. Okay, the problem with betting on a team that's going to win is that there's a line. The line means, okay, Chicago has to win by 14 points, or you lose the bet. But one particular day, on a Monday, after a football weekend, I remember, and this was back in the mid 80s, I remember taking $800 down to the bookie to pay for the bets, the total bets that I made for that weekend. $800 back in the mid 80s was a large chunk of money. And of course, I didn't just bet on one team. I mean, I was betting over and unders and parlays and everything else throughout the weekend. I was a little bit out of control at that point with the whole gambling football thing. But when you have to take $800 to the bookie on Monday, you got to think to yourself, am I sure of what the hell I'm doing? Probably not. Of course, there's no sure bet. There never is, and there never was. And that's why the lines makers and everybody else, just like the casinos, they study this shit and they're smart enough to know what is going to probably happen and where to place the line. And I don't care if it's over and under or anything else. They know enough about this to know what are the odds, you know what I mean? And you don't see them going out of business, you know. Casinos rarely go out of business because, they ended up paying too much money to people playing roulette. Now, and don't get me wrong, roulette's another one that I really like. And there were a lot of times at a lot of tables where, I'm all over the corners, I'm all over the number, all of the corners are round in number and everything else, and hit and rake in hundreds of dollars. But there's also just as many or more times where I'm on numbers down here at this end of the table, and it turns out, 5. Okay, you're not going to beat the tables. Now, let's jump to another gamble, which is the stock market. Oh no, these professionals will tell you, you're never going to lose money in the stock market. Really? Do you really believe that? And they'll point to, oh, well, over the past 200 years of the stock market, it has returned this amount of percentage annually. Yeah, but who's going to stay in the stock market for 200 years? And I know, to be fair, they tell you, oh, okay, don't invest everything if you're 5 years to retiring. Put a little bit in bonds or something, you know. Okay, well, if it's a guaranteed thing, why? Well, because they know over any window of time, you certainly can lose money. And you don't even have to look back to the crash at 29. You can look through the housing bubble stuff. Okay, look at 2000, 2001. Look at the dot-coms. Look at the housing bubbles in, what, 06, 07, when all the banks got killed. If you're in that at that time, you're gambling. Hands down, you're gambling. Now, did most of this stuff eventually recover? Most eventually. Not a stock like Enron during the dot-com when they were just making up the books and everybody lost everything. Gambling is a dangerous thing, and you really have to be careful, and you have to be aware, and you have to know what you're doing. And that's true with all of life, not just gambling. I am to the point, I try to avoid gambling at most costs now. I will gamble, though, on the bet that I'm probably going to have another beer later on. But until then, take care of yourself, and I'll see you later.